Anybody that's been a listener to this podcast knows that I am a big fan of Zig Ziglar. One of the things that he says is, remember, you will never rise above your words. I'm going to talk to you about how your business will never rise above your words either. Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore, founder of foodtrucktraining.group. Today we're talking about words, and I'm talking specifically about foul language, pornographic words, filthy language, whatever you want to call it, basically just cussing. And I'm going to talk about it in a verbal sense and in a textual sense. The problem is those words reveal the internal thinking of the person speaking them or writing them. You simply cannot become more than your internal thoughts about yourself and your surroundings. So if you're constantly peppering, cuss this, cuss that, well, guess what? You're going to hate this and that because you're cussing it. You're upset with it. Control your mouth and you'll have a whole lot better life outlook than if you just continue to sprinkle your cussing everywhere. Weak, insecure, self-conscious people are the ones that pepper their speech with profanity, and it's always in an attempt to project their authority. George Patton was well known for cussing almost every other word. To what? To assert his authority. You don't need to do that. You're not fighting a war. People don't understand the power of language on both the speaker and the listener. Timothy R. Clark, the author of Leading with Character and Competence, says, profanity snuffs out psychological safety. What that means is, in the workplace, people have a certain expectation of, I can relax. I'm not going to get verbally abused today like my spouse does. I'm not going to have to deal with verbal problems. I'm not going to have to deal with hatefulness. I'm not going to have to deal with the things that are termed as harassment. Guess what cussing is? It's harassment. It can be either a physical harassment, a verbal harassment, a sexual harassment, but it's harassment. You're an employer. You got to set the example. People have the right to work in an environment that's free of harassing and bullying behavior. Cussing is just a way of you punctuating your lack of authority because the people don't respect you. If you find you have to cuss, your staff don't respect you. And guess whose fault that is? Not your staff. That would be your fault. There are more words in the English language to explain details and get people to understand what you need out of them without you having to resort to the playground cussing. Teddy Roosevelt says that cussing is the refuge of fools. And he's absolutely right. You simply cannot be more than what your mouth speaks. Your business can't be more than what your mouth speaks because it's limited by you. 2,000 years ago, a lot of the intelligent people in all the different societies around the world figured out what it took the computer programmers figured out in the last 50 years. And that was garbage in, garbage out. I don't allow any profanity in my businesses. I don't allow it on my Facebook groups simply because it sets the tone for new people joining and it sets the tone for the other people that are within the group. And it takes away from the purpose of the group, and that's to teach and to help people to learn. In a verbal situation, profanity can slip out. It happens, and I understand that. So when I have employees who are talking to someone and a little bit of cussing slips out, I remind them this is an environment of professionals. Professionals do not cuss. But if they have too many slips, guess what happens? They get terminated. I have zero problem terminating people when they break the rules. It's my obligation to enforce the rules. I wrote them, so I have to enforce them. If I don't enforce them, then that means that they can just go ahead and steal money because I'm not enforcing that rule either. And they can go ahead and just eat whatever they want because I'm not enforcing that policy. They can cuss. They can do whatever they want. One rule has to be enforced, just like every other rule. If you write a rule and don't enforce it, then you have accepted that behavior. That becomes approval, and then that approval becomes the expectation. And when it's the expectation, that is what happens. So on my Facebook group, when people text a cuss word, I delete it and I ban that person because they took effort. It didn't slip out. They took effort to type those letters, and I simply won't have it. If you think that cussing will propel you forward, you're mistaken. You will be exactly where you are for the remainder of your life unless you change how you talk, how you react to people, and how you motivate people to do their work and their job. You can't bring in new guests if you're back there hollering and cussing at your employees. It won't happen. You can't bring in new guests if you're caught telling a dirty joke, because you're going to offend somebody that's not going to come back. When you're out at the bar, when you're out on your off time, if that's how you want to talk, go for it. It still becomes your reputation, and it still lets people know where not to eat. But hey, it's your money. You can waste it however you want. Be a good person. Be the person that inspires your staff, that inspires your guests to come back. Hey, I want to be around that person because they have an awesome outlook on life. You can't be awesome and look at the good things in life when your mind and your mouth is filled with cussing and negativity. It just doesn't happen. Every time I see the people that have cuss words sprinkled throughout their text, I know what type of person I'm dealing with. I have to fix what's wrong on the inside before I can get them to achieve the success they want on the outside. So understand your words have meaning. Choose your words wisely. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, please consider hitting that support link and giving us a monthly donation. Even if it's 99 cents, it's a thought that counts. And I love that you guys want to support me. And I certainly cherish any support that you guys can offer. Being around like-minded, positive people is awesome, and our Facebook group called Food Truck Training is full of amazing people that want us to help and support each other. The link is in the description. Please join us if you haven't already. If you guys need one-on-one coaching, I got you covered there too. I've got books, I've got a course, you can get on my calendar, I've got email. Go to the website in the link below and you can get all that information. You guys have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next podcast.